Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends, Mr. Sean Falk.
Hi.
Mr. Charles Boda.
Hello.
And Mr. Steve Porter.
Hello.
And recently we did good attractions that Disney made worse by changing them. And this week we're going to do bad attractions that Disney made better by changing them. We have 5 on our list. I think most of us agree on these. We had some disagreements on the last set, but this one I think we all pretty much agree. Number 5 on the list, American Idol going to the Frozen sing-along. Now that may sound odd, but now I never saw the American Idol thing, and I haven't seen the Frozen sing-along, so I can't speak to either of those. But why that, Steve?
Okay.
That was your suggestion.
So I am not the biggest Frozen fan. If you watch the previous video, you can see that I'm not even a big fan of the Frozen attraction that replaced Maelstrom. But this American Idol show was so like cringy and awkward. Like they're impersonating. They have the 3 judges that are trying to play the roles of Simon, Paula, and Randy. But it's like all like obviously it's a show. And so these cast members are just doing the best job they can do with what they're given, but it comes across it's so fake because it is, and it's just so awkward and like, I don't know. There's like a back and forth between the judges with every performance that's like really cartoonish and over the top of what Randy would say and what Paula would say, even though they're not actually like, they're not dressed up like them. They're their own people, but it's so bad. And so this Frozen show is, they sing the Frozen songs and it's fun and it's enjoyable. Again, I'm not the biggest Frozen fan, but at least it was much, much better than this atrocious American Idol show.
Well, shows like that only work because there's something on the line. Like you'd legitimately be the next American Idol. So if
I mean, in this attraction, if you won the day, okay, because they would do like 5 or 6 rounds of it every day. Yeah. If you won the day, you did get a golden fast pass to go right.
When you'd go to audition, because I did it once whenever we came on vacation to Disney, and I will say that this was my main problem with it. It took up my entire day at Hollywood Studios because like I had to go audition in the morning time. I got picked, so then I had to go back for picking a song, which the list has maybe 18 songs to 20 possibly. So if you don't know one of those songs, they literally have it on a little iPod, the Nano that they give you to be listening to while you're walking around in the park, and you get your lyrics. You have to come back for them like fixing your hair and all this kind of stuff. You have to go through a vocal coach that's there and like practice the song several times with the music and everything. So literally you're looking like 5 hours invested into this of your day at the park. And so it's almost the entire day. When you win the whole thing, you do get a golden ticket that when you would go audition for the real show, you still would have to go to the first round, but you would guaranteed get to be one of the first people to try out rather than having to like come like 2 days early, wait in line, and like when they show it on TV there's like a cattle call thing where they're like camping out, so like you don't have to do the whole camping out phase of stuff. You skip that and you're like the first one in line, but that's what you win. But like, I mean, they even film you to have like little clips of you like around the park, like, oh, I got my ticket, blah blah blah. So like you're doing all this for hours and hours and hours or whatever. So when we came on vacation, like I didn't do anything at Hollywood Studios the whole day except American Idol. That was it. And the last show was at like 7 p.m. or something. So literally you're done. Like it ended at 8 and I'm like, cool, the park's closed. Like I'm done. So, but anyway, yeah, no, the Frozen ride, the Frozen sing-along they put in is actually really funny. I didn't think that it would be. And I was like, oh, like I don't know about going to do a sing-along. And I know people that were there and in the show and stuff, and so that's why I went the first time, and I was actually surprised at how funny and enjoyable it was.
There's 2 characters that kind of play like, I don't know if they're supposed to be townspeople from Arendelle or like
they're the
royal
historians.
They're historians, yeah. And they have a funny back and forth, and it is cute that they have some jokes and puns and stuff like that makes it enjoyable for parents as well. Like when you're bringing your kids to see the Anna and Elsa. So
Which they're getting rid of that, actually, the back and forth between them, because Disney was saying that, or like the show people were saying that it creates too much, like the kids don't like the jokes and it's too like chaotic and stuff, and they want to just keep it more to like the sing-along portion of it, so they're like way scaling back the joke part.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, as I found out through people I know that work there, so get ready for that to be gone. So it will just be a sing-along, so coming up pretty soon. So
All right, number 4 on our list, the Celebrate the Magic Parade that had been in the Magic Kingdom and was replaced by Festival of Fantasy, and I definitely agree.
Or Celebrate a Dream Come True.
Celebrate a Dream Come True, thank you. Who can keep track? And that's why I barely remember that parade. And I know I saw it many times.
Oh, yeah.
However, Festival of Fantasy, you don't forget it. Absolutely brilliant parade. Definitely one of the things where they upped their game.
Yeah, for sure. I went to I think either the first or second Festival of Fantasy parade, and I remember being blown away because it had brought Disney parades to a level that I had never seen before. Now I'm nostalgic for stuff like Main Street Electrical Parade and different parades that I really do enjoy. But there's no questioning the scale and a fire-breathing dragon, for Pete's sake. You can't even compete with that. And so I remember just being blown away. And I forget not how bad Celebrate a Dream Come True was, but
How forgettable
it was. They have that mirror float that they have used for like 10 million different parades over the course of Disney history, and everything else just was, I feel like it was a lot of recycled floats that they were using. Festival of Fantasy is designed for this parade, and it's all thought out really, really well. And I don't know, there's nothing else I can say about it, but it's just great.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a parade guy. And I remember when yeah, big surprise. But when I first started going back to the Disney parks anyway, I remember like the Festival of Fantasy parade going on, and we're just like walking somewhere, and I was with some of you guys. I don't remember who was there, but we're just walking. I was like, "What is that?" They're like, "Oh, that's just the parade." I was like, that's not like a big, no, they do that all the time. That's not, because everybody else was used to it. But the first time I saw it, I was like, yeah, wow, that is
spectacular.
Awesome.
It is
a giant mechanical dragon just going by like normal. That's just a so yeah, I'm not a huge parade guy, but like that was a great addition to it.
Oh yeah, the first time I think I was there opening day for sure, and it was, I mean, the first time I even saw the first float come around, even when the music started, I was like, oh my god, like this is so much better than the old parade was. And I mean, of course, the dragon float was amazing. Every time I see it, I'm still like, oh, that's spectacular. And I feel the same way like when you're out in California and you see the Paint the Night parade or whatever. I'm like, this is like compared to the Main Street Electrical parade or whatever, like seeing Paint the Night, I'm like, I forgot the other one even existed. So because it's like the best parade I've ever seen. So Disney's up in their game with their parades.
Agreed. All right, number 3 on our list, the Living Seas at Epcot, going from the whole Seabase Alpha storyline over to Finding Nemo. I thought this was, and I kind of enjoyed, Epcot was really like the first Disney park I got invested in, and I often, when I think back to my first experiences at Disney, I think about Epcot. Living Seas was part of that. A friend of mine and I had a lot of inside jokes about Living Seas, United Technologies, and they were sponsoring the attraction at the time. But when they were going to switch it over, I was like, oh, nostalgia. But what they did, I think the Finding Nemo piece, amazing. I thought they just did a beautiful job with it, with all of it. So what do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I think the Seas with Nemo and Friends is a really well done attraction. For some reason, it doesn't garner a super long line either, I've noticed. I mean, there can be longer lines, but usually it's only maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's always a walk-on pretty much.
And so, I mean, that's always a plus. And I'm actually not a big fan of the intellectual properties at Epcot, but for some reason, this one just works. Like you said, it just kind of fits there. And so I think that having, my pushback against intellectual properties is that, I wanted to keep Epcot to be the pure vision of what it was when it originally opened. But I think when you see something like the Seas with Nemo and Friends and how much little kids enjoy that attraction, you're like, okay, my argument is not worth it.
Not just little kids. I love that. I love that attraction. I really do. I try and get on it every time I'm over there, just because it's cute and it's fun. I don't care too much for the, stuff at the end.
The song?
No. When you get off the attraction and
that aquarium.
Well, it's like, all those little. It's all right. It's fine, but I like the I like the ride better.
I never did this other thing. What did it also end in an aquarium or like?
Yeah, well, actually, I mean, it's if I remember correctly, and I'm sure if I don't, someone will correct me. You went in and there was a movie. It was basically selling, United Technologies and. It was whatever. And then you got onto the hydrolators, which were like, basically, I don't even think they actually went anywhere. But the whole concept was that you were going to Sea Base Alpha. So you were going down below the sea and you get into Sea Base Alpha. And it is pretty much the same area now as you have at the end of the Nemo ride, where you can see the aquarium and they have the different areas and the different exhibits and stuff like that. So that's what it was. So what they did was they basically just eliminated the movie piece out of the front of it and replaced that with Nemo and Friends,
right.
The ride through, which I think was brilliant. I don't think anybody's going to say, "Oh, I missed the United Technologies movie." And for me, that's the draw. That ride through is the draw. I'm not saying that the end of it's bad or whatever, but it's just not like okay, where's the exit? For me, anyway.
Well, there's another thing about the intellectual property aspect of it, because I know we're personally we're all back and forth on when we think it's appropriate or anything. We disagree sometimes. But when it's added with the intent of it, the thing is, I guarantee you there's a generation of marine biologists who are going to come out because they were little kids and Finding Nemo captivated something in them. So it's not going if it adds to that getting people passionate about it, in my head, it still kind of goes with the Epcot theme of, offering that view, that perspective on ocean life and stuff like that, fostering that spirit of creativity and wonder with the ocean life. And that's a proper venue for it. So this is one of those things where the IP doesn't bother me at all. I think it's perfectly appropriate.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, number 2 on our list. I don't know how many people remember this. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire giving way to Toy Story Mania? No question that this was a good change.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer. And
I had to do it.
I'm not going to tell the story I told before on the show. If I meet any of you personally, ask me about the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire story. I'm not doing it on the show. But does anybody disagree with this? That
I avidly remember doing it, or because I had it in California too. But I enjoyed it. I didn't have a problem with it. But I like trivia, so that's
But do you think it's better? Do you think that was better than?
I love Toy Story Mania. I think Toy Story Mania is amazing. So I just I thought it was something different because I was like, well, it is kind of cool that you come in and there's a trivia thing, but I'd rather do Toy Story Mania, obviously, because Disney's for fun stuff. I could play Jeopardy on the Wii or something if I just wanted to. So
I like how by saying Disney's for fun stuff means that it wasn't fun.
It wasn't fun. It was just trivia's not fun. I just to have a good. I don't know. I don't know what trivia is. I enjoy it, but it's not fun.
I enjoy it, but it's not fun.
I don't know.
Hashtag that, folks.
There's a thing with it where something can be entertaining or anything like that, but does it have, and I hate to throw out this word all the time, but does it have magic to it? Yes, it's entertaining. Is there yes, you're getting immersed in something you watch on TV. So but the level of immersion is here's a game show. You can be on this game show. To me, there's no unique quality. There's no magic to it. There's no okay, you're getting with something like Toy Story, you watch Toy Story and you could never imagine that you would ever be, surrounded in that thing. That's something that you can only get there. So sitting and taking part in a game show that's not being broadcast to the world, it's kind of immersion, but it's not. There's no magic. There's no spirit to it.
I will say, I think for me, one of the big things with Disney doing this, I don't know where my line is here, because for me, having like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire or American Idol, which I don't know why they did that with American Idol. It wasn't even on ABC, but
right.
But for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, it was on ABC. So like I get like promoting your own thing, but for me that feels like we're promoting our own show, and it comes off as like this isn't a ride. It's just like a big advertisement in a way. However, technically everything at Disney would be a big advertisement for their own movie, so that's why I don't know where my line is.
But again, with Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, I don't think they expected that show to become the juggernaut that it was. I mean, remember,
it was the number one show on television.
It was like insane for a couple of seasons there, and then they hurry. They I don't know if they hurried necessarily, but then they said, okay, let's put this in the parks. But almost from the minute it went in the parks, that show was already on the decline. So they had to do something else with it, and they obviously they want to do things that are more timeless. Same with American Idol. I mean. Now, I wonder, do they regret getting rid of the American Idol experience now that ABC has American Idol? Or will it come back? Will the Frozen Sing-Along move somewhere else and that theater get
I don't think it'll
used
come
with it?
back. But
Yeah, I don't think it'll come back either.
I
think the show will fail. So
I'm saying if the show doesn't fail, I wouldn't be surprised. But all right, finally, number one on our list of bad attractions gone good. Camp Minnie Mickey at Animal Kingdom turning into Pandora. I cannot think of a better example of this than an area of the park of Animal Kingdom I wanted nothing to do with except to see Festival of the Lion King. Turning into Pandora, which is absolutely stunning. What do you think?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if you don't remember, Camp Minnie Mickey was essentially just
it was a meet
and greet for Mickey, Minnie, and a couple maybe some other Fab Five. Yeah, Pocahontas was there too. And like you said, the Lion King, but they moved Lion King anyway, so it's not like we lost that.
They gave it a better theater in another location.
Yeah, right. And so in a more appropriate location because it's in Africa now. Yeah. So yeah, Camp Minnie Mickey was just a disaster. I think it was another, like you were saying, with not expecting Frozen to be as big as it was or Millionaire to be as big as it was, I think, and then shuffling to figure out what to do with it, I think they had the idea of Beastly Kingdom, and then when budget cuts happened and they decided not to do that, the Imagineers thought like, oh shoot, what do we got? Like, what are we gonna put here? What are we gonna put here? And they just popped up a meet and greet because it was cheapest and easiest thing to do. So. Yeah, it's no question. I mean, Pandora is awesome. It's arguably the best attraction on Walt Disney World property, maybe the best Disney attraction around the world in Flight of Passage. So yeah, there's no argument.
Well, when I first saw Avatar at the movies anyway, which I was shocked when Disney ended up scooping it up because I thought even from the beginning I was like, you already have Avatar, it's called Pocahontas, because they're the exact same movie. So it's like people who are non-natives of somewhere move into native territory hoping to find a mineral that they want to dig up and then displace everyone, and there's even like a giant tree. So I'm like, it's the same movie. And so we liked going to meet.
Never thought of it like that.
You can't really meet
right.
Pocahontas places, and I like Pocahontas. I always liked that movie. So you could meet her at Camp Minnie Mickey. And so when we went back and they had closed Camp Minnie Mickey, I was like, where did Pocahontas go? And they were like, she's been displaced now or whatever. And I was like, of course she has. And everything like,
that was historically accurate.
Or whatever. Like
Trail of Tears.
And ironically, she's been displaced by a thing that's been displaced, like a planet that got displaced in a movie that's now getting built. So
I hadn't thought of it like that, but you're absolutely right.
It's the same movie.
It's the same movie. But I enjoyed Avatar. I absolutely love Pandora. No question, this was probably the best conversion of land from one thing to another in Disney's history.
Oh, yeah.
So I agree. There we go. There you have it. Bad attractions gone good. Number 5, American Idol becoming the Frozen sing-along. Celebrate a Dream Come True Parade at the Magic Kingdom becoming Festival of Fantasy Parade. Seabase Alpha and the whole Living Seas thing becoming The Seas with Nemo and Friends. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire becoming Toy Story Mania over at Hollywood Studios, and Camp Mini Mickey becoming Pandora over at Animal Kingdom. Tell us what you think. Podcast at disunplugged.com with your comments. Thanks very much for being with us, folks. We'll be back with you again next week with another episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World. Have a great week.